Keep the lights on. Use Airtel Money to pay for all your Yaka bills conveniently. Open the My Airtel app to buy Yaka units. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
Hello and welcome to the UBC News Tonight. My name is Wadulo Mark Arnold, and before we could start out with the bulletin, at least allow us summarize some of the hints or the main topics that the President has been talking about in his national address tonight. Now, the presidential address tonight was categorized in 3 segments, and these are the status report on COVID-19, the political indiscipline in the country right now, and also he also talked about the economy of Uganda. Now, on COVID-19, he said that the country was doing well with only 24 coronavirus patients left in the hospitals right now. However, he urges Ugandans to still abide by the SOPs as vaccination progresses. He also said that he is waiting to make a choice on which vaccine to take, either Johnson & Johnson's or the AstraZeneca. However, he still emphasizes SOPs should still be followed. On political indiscipline, he reiterated to Ugandans not to fall victim of bad politics. He also says that despite the NRM being accused of voter rigging, it is by the NUP President Robert Kyagulanyi, it is in fact NUP that rigged. On the economy, he talks about how our government is preparing a package for the most affected industries or sectors of the economy, especially those that haven't yet been lifted, whose lockdown hasn't yet been lifted, and these are the bar owners, the musicians, private schools, and the likes. They are preparing a package for those sectors to be able to recover smoothly. He also talked about the issue of Ugandan exports to, Kenya. You remember the maize issue. He said, yes, that it's true that most of our farmers here still have a lot of work to do when it comes to post-harvest handling to be able to curb the aflatoxins. That word seems to disturb me. Aflatoxins in our maize. However, he also said that Uganda is making moves to be able to consolidate the East African community, to be able to address some of these trade issues. He also talked about a number of other things, the oil financial investment decision soon coming in a few months. Of course, you know that Total is the biggest player right now. Total E&P is the biggest player in the oil and gas industry of Uganda, and they are coming to a final investment decision, and that is when we are going to be seeing commercial oil production starting within the economy. Without further ado, that sums up most of what he talked about. Perhaps we shall be updating you with some of the other things he talks about in the speech. However, let's take a look at tonight's top stories, and then we could start out with the bulletin. The missions to be awarded. Furthermore, Ebola-like infection kills a man in Kanungu district. Illegal fishing gear burnt on Lake Albert shores. And FAO EU plants 80,000 acres of trees in Karamoja region. Once again, thank you for joining us, and now we give you the news in detail. Now, the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Mrs. Janet Museveni, has welcomed the Higher Education Awards East Africa, an initiative designed to award and reward scholars and the academia. Janet Museveni was meeting a team led by Professor Dr. Nyira Mujumbi, the chairperson and chief convener of the Higher Education Awards East Africa, who called on her at State House Entebbe on Friday to brief her about the initiative and to seek for the Education Ministry's collaboration. And this is the conversation we managed to capture.
For the people, you should be able to understand the behavior, attitudes of the user themselves, and that means going into the liberal arts first and foremost, then target exactly the convenience and the concerns of the users and the relevance. And therefore, in focusing on the awards and the rewards for higher education and research in the universities, we felt that they should be taken together. The initiative that was established to award and reward those providing excellence in higher education and those who have shown competence and who have committed themselves to research both in liberal arts, science and technology should be awarded and recognized.
Professor Nyira. Oh, okay. Sorry. I happen to have lived in Sweden, and I know I have been talking to government actually about what the Swedish government do to motivate their scientists. They have, they arrange every year a function that brings all the scientists from all over the country in one place, and they do an exhibition of what they have achieved annually, and then government lists up what have come out from that exhibition in the most excellent ones, and as they go down to show what people have done in any one year. And then they have a fund which they give to these innovators to now improve on what they have been doing and excel until they get it onto the market. So what you are saying is possible to motivate the scientists to do better at what they are doing until we get our creativity and our innovations actually go out to the world, that people may know that Africans also can do.
In another headline story, a man suspected of dying from the deadly Ebola disease has been laid to rest in Kanungu district. The deceased, only identified as Kasigwa Obed, was a resident of Buzira Cell Parish in Chihihi Town Council, Kanungu district near Congo border. And these are the details.
A man in Kanungu has been found dead in a pool of blood. The dead man, who had just returned from the Democratic Republic of Congo, was found dead in his house in Chihihi Town with blood oozing from his nose, ears and mouth.
But though the local people are denying the fact, but the truth is there are some people who helped to put the body together, but they don't want to talk. And the local people are gathering. We have told them this burial is controlled and managed by the medical team, headed by the health inspector and the team, the surveillance team that has been doing the COVID work they are equipped enough, they can do the work.
According to the RDC, Kanungu Ahimbisiwe Gad Rugaju, the deceased had just returned from the Democratic Republic of Congo to check on his relatives. Ahimbisiwe says 7 other people from the same village had died under similar circumstances a few days before the death of Kasigwa Obed.
According to what they have seen, they are saying he has been, the body has blood in the nose, in the ears, in the mouth, and in the eyes, which is a suspect that one could say is a suspect of Ebola. So that's why you have said we don't allow the local people to bury him locally. He has to be buried according to the medical guidance. We have contacted the DHO, and the representative from the DHO is here. The medical team is ready in their attire. We are going to bury this person. He's a 21-year-old. Unfortunately, the local people are still taking it for a joke.
Residents who appeared worried confirmed the death of Kasigwa Obed.
The Uganda People's Defense Force has destroyed 1,500 boats and 700 illegal fishing nets along Toroko, Kagadi and Buhuka shorelines along Lake Albert. Now, some of the fishermen say that the suspension of FPU led to the increase in illegal fishing activities on Lake Albert and appreciated the UPDF for the work they are doing.
The Uganda People's Defense Force has destroyed 1,500 boats and 700 illegal fishing nets along Toroko, Kagadi and Buhuka shorelines along Lake Albert. Some of the fishermen say the suspension of FPU led to the increase in illegal fishing activities on Lake Albert and appreciated UPDF for the work they are doing.
Abagenzi bangu robena na mato 20 asigeza mato 3 nonda kabena mati 10 asigeza 3 habwenso hambi ya marine kokota yo maizi na neti ni basasara kutima na go maizi twasiga tulibana kwa hati bana baize tusimira mtu yakuba nabo.
Residents of Buhuka landing site in Changwari sub-county say that several youth who have been deriving their livelihoods from the lake have been rendered jobless due to an increase in the cases of crime within their area. They added that they were not informed about the operation and they have been in lockdown, which has affected them, and now they have been evicted.
Tumanye tukora tumanye vitu ukora mateka kuviena chonga inchi kampuni government yokubiturukia government okumara kuturukia kinda wakitu tasera kutuyamba na itu karona ndikoreke twafunoke mugaso.
The commander in charge of the Fisheries Protection Unit, FPU, Lieutenant Colonel Dick Kiria Kaija, says that the operations were prompted by complaints from the public in regard to illegal fishing gears and the presence of Congolese fishermen on the Ugandan waters.
This is a joint operation between the two countries, that is DRC and Uganda. The two governments agreed to make a joint patrol of enforcement on the shared lakes. The shared lakes, these are Edward and Albert, and the essence of this is that there have been a lot of open access on these two lakes where people are not regulated and they do whatever, all legalities that they can afford. However, we need to rejuvenate the fish industry by reminding people that this Lake Albert and Lake Edward, these are regulated lakes.
Colonel Kaija said 13 Congolese nationals were temporarily held by the forces and cautioned for illegal entry into Uganda, as well as the use of illegal fishing gears on the lake.
So it is concerned with the environment and conservation of ecosystem. Most of the illegal fishing gears are contrabands like the monofilaments, which are not allowed in according to NEMA Act. They are not friendly to the ecosystem because they destroy every creature that is in water.
He says the operations will continue until illegal fishing activities are stopped to allow the fish stock to rejuvenate. Amlan Tumusime, the Chikube resident district commissioner, appreciated the operation done by the UPDF Marine, but appealed to them to always inform the district about the operations.
Because illegal fishing is a very bad practice. One, you deplete the lake. And once you deplete the lake, that means even the fish which you have been surviving on for years definitely will get finished. And once it gets finished, then it causes insecurity. You come to the streets, you start doing this, you start doing the other, because the source where you used to.
The Food and Agriculture Organization has concluded its tour of Karamoja sub-region. The delegation's tour was concluded at Musupo Primary School in Moroto District, one of the institutions benefiting from Solog Production Grant Scheme project.
Musupo is a primary school located on the slopes of Mountain Moroto in Karamoja sub-region. The school has challenges of firewood for preparing meals for the pupils. This school also has 8 learners in P6 that include 2 girls and 6 boys.
Last week we happened to open P6 class, whereby also we have 8 children, 2 girls and 6 boys. That is P6. As we are finishing now pushing the P7 to PLE, we are going to remain with the P6, waiting for the other classes.
The children of Musupo Primary School have to scale Mount Moroto every morning to collect firewood for preparing the day's meal. The head teacher of Musupo Primary School, Simon Opolot, says the school has 10 primary 7 candidates now preparing to sit PLE.
Our lessons are interrupted in the class because when children come to class, instead of going to direct to the classes to attend lessons, when the firewood is not there, we have to send children first of all to go and look for firewood. As they come, lessons have been affected. Time goes, so we resume classes after some minutes have gone. So we have a challenge there.
It is for this reason that the Food and Agriculture Organization, together with the European Union, are supporting the school with a 1.5-acre tree plantation for the school to access firewood from their woodlot. Simon Opolot says once the woodlot matures, learners will no longer be scaling the mountain looking for firewood despite the wildfires that are threatening the survival of the trees.
The wildfires, because when we try to put the barbed wire, the fencing like this, these people, they set fire, and now we find that even someone comes and puts the fire inside, and you can't get the person who has done that. When you try to follow, everyone is just far, you can't tell. So those are some of the challenges.
Karamoja is a semi-arid area, and for this, Naro has set up tree nursery beds with species trial for the most suitable type of trees that can withstand the weather condition. The project coordinator, SPGS FAO project, Leonidas Hitimana, says in the last 15 years of the project, over 80,000 acres of trees had been planted in different regions of Uganda.
Phase 3, about 32,000 hectares have been established, and we believe that this is a great contribution to carbon sequestration, but also on livelihoods of communities, of commercial investors, but also supporting institutions for their needs for energy.
This SBJS project was started with an intention of promoting and preserving environment for the area's sustainability. Andrew Sebida compiled this report.
Now, the Ministry of Water, Environment, and together with its implementing partners are working for water, climate change and environment in 10 districts, and that is Kampala, Wakiso, Mpigi, Mitiana, Mubende, Chegegwa, Chenjojo, Kamwenge, Fort Portal and Kasese. The workers have so far trekked through 5 districts and have covered a distance of over 149 kilometers out of the 370 kilometers to be covered. The work is undertaken as a part of the forthcoming Uganda Water and Environment Week to be held from the 21st to the 26th of March 2021.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
The Ministry of Water and Environment has embarked on an 11 days walk through 10 districts, sensitizing the public on issues of water and environment for socio-economic transformation. The walkers have made various stopovers in municipalities, forest reserves, towns, wetlands, among others, mainly to raise awareness about water and environmental issues and also to change attitudes of the people in the face of climate change. The walkers took together with officials of Ministry of Water and Environment on their journey to Kasese, had a stopover at Lwamunda Forest Reserve to assess levels of encroachment on the forest reserve and also sensitize community on the usefulness of forest and environment at large. From there, the team walking for water proceeded to Mubende district directly to Champisi Forest Reserve that has been cleared and encroached on by communities around to plant maize. Here, the Minister of Water and Environment staff met local authorities with expectations on how to restore the cleared forest reserves.
Mubende is sincerely district seen as a champion in the rest of other districts that we are replanting trees to regreen our district, and we could be regarded as champion because if we are leading in regreening, we are the champion of environment protection.
We are encouraging the communities wherever we are passing to do the same as the workers are passing through their communities, plant more trees, restore the environment, protect water catchment areas.
The district forestry official of Mubende stressed that there is need for vigorous sensitizing of the masses on the dangers of clearing the forest for food.
Matovu omuliraano w'ekibira kino ntuusa okwebaza kwange eri mwenna olwa kino kye mukoze olw'okukuuma obutonde bw'ensi. Naddala nga nze ndi ku luguudo kuno whereby emmotoka zifulumya nnyo carbon dioxide nga gino emiti gituyambako obutassa mukka mubi.
Walking for Water, Environment and Climate Change is one of the activities earmarked to celebrate the Uganda Water and Environment Week 2021. Zahra Abigaba compiled this report.
Now, upon receiving 6,860 doses of the COVID-19 AstraZeneca vaccine, Luero District is ready for the exercise that starts tomorrow. Now, the initial exercise will be at the 5 venues of Luero Hospital, Kalangala Health Center 4, Nyimbwa Health Center 4, Zirowe Health Center 3, and Wabusana Health Center 3. The Assistant District Health Officer, Florence Namuyanja, offers clarity on the entire process that will start by catering for the priority groups as advised by central government.
Now, as a nation, we prioritized those categories of people that will be receiving the vaccines in the first phase. And likewise, the Luero District is following the same categorization that was put across, whereby we are first looking at 4 priority groups. One is that one of the health workers. Then the next one is that one of the essential, the one we call the essential categories, whereby you have the army, we have the police, we have the teachers. Those ones are in that essential group. Then we have the other one of the people who are about 50 years old. Then we have the people with comorbidities. So those are the 4 priority groups we have. Now, looking at the number of doses that we have, we do hope that they will be giving us more vaccines. That one we know we shall get. So we shall begin off with what we have. We shall see how much it will take us, and in the long run, we shall be receiving more doses. To give the first shot, we expect our client to return after 8 weeks to receive the second one. The vaccines are safe. These vaccines are stored just like any other vaccines we've always used in vaccination exercise. So they are safe because these vaccines are kept at the same temperature that we keep the other vaccines. That is between +2 degrees and +8 degrees. And our fridges are able to do this very well. The fridges we have at that district, together with those fridges we have in facilities, they have always kept the vaccine safe, and we are sure they are keeping the AstraZeneca vaccine very safe.
Now, as an active politician, he may have missed the medical profession and practice, but again, it is a decision that he took deliberately Being a medical graduate is a profession that he dreamt of and achieved, only to end up in the political leadership arena. Now, in our focus on personality this week, we seek answers to what defines the life and career of Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, the State Minister for Housing.
I have never tasted alcohol in my life.
Intellectually equipped,
I was born in a very humble family.
And academically endowed.
From primary 1 to P7, I was always the first in class.
Everything about his early life and career rotates around medicine, health and well-being. Chris Baryomunsi is a product of Kayongwe, an area found in the present-day Kanungo district.
I grew up looking after cattle and goats, and in 1977 I began my primary education.
He attended Kayongwe Primary School, from where he completed his primary leaving examinations. This was advancement towards attaining his dream of becoming a medical doctor, something he had conceived while in primary 5.
This was 1981. I suffered from malaria. I got a malaria attack and was treated in Kambuga Hospital, which is a hospital in my district. And I was impressed by the way the doctors handled me. First of all, the smartness, the way they appeared in the clinical courts, and the fact that they were able to change my life from a very sick young boy to someone who left the hospital when he was okay. In my mind, I desired to become a medical doctor.
He went to St. Paul's Seminary, Rushoroza in Kabale district, for his O and A levels. It is from there that he bred his childhood and primary school dream of becoming a medical doctor.
And because I knew that to be a medical doctor, you needed to do and pass science subjects. And with experience in Kambuga, having been a sick boy with malaria, then now my desire and option was to pursue science subjects so they can lead me to a profession that I wanted to join.
Had he not declined the career guidance given by the seminary, Baryomunsi would probably be one of the present-day vision that saw his ascension to Makerere University to pursue a bachelor's degree of medicine and surgery.
In December, 2 students are killed, the university is closed, and then it was later opened in May 1991. So in that period of December to May, I go back to teaching in Chinchiz High School.
At the time, current President General of the Democratic Party, Norbert Mao, was the guild president of Makerere University. Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Olanya, was the university speaker. Mad by violence, Baryomunsi retreated to secondary school teaching as he waited for the opening of the university.
In May, I get back to university and completed my training in medicine in 1995. So I was at Makerere from 1990 to 1995. The requirement in the medical discipline that you have to do internship. So I did internship in a Marago hospital, which I completed in 1996, and then was appointed now as a medical officer by government.
His love for the medical profession and practice did not just end there. He would pursue a postgraduate diploma in demography and later a master's degree still in demography.
Shortly after, enrolled for a master's degree which I completed 1998, and then got a job offer with the GTZ, which was a German organization, currently called GIZ, to be a reproductive health advisor for one of the health programs which they were doing in Western Uganda, and I was based in Fort Portal. Later on, I changed and worked with the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, as a reproductive health advisor again, and I was also concurrently teaching at Makerere University, the Department of Population Studies, the Institute of Statistics and Applied Economics.
Interesting as it may have been, challenges were not absent. The health of women is the biggest challenge he experienced while practicing at Mulago Hospital, prompting him to seek more qualifications.
On a day where the mothers have come for antenatal care, you would see hundreds and hundreds of women, especially young women, carrying pregnancies. Then the question, and then we would also witness some maternal deaths, women who die as a result of pregnancy and childbirth-related complications. Some women would come from Murago to the labor ward when they are bleeding, when it is too late to save their lives. And then the question in my mind was, isn't there a way the government policy and interventions at the higher level can be influenced?
To save a life is the happiness of every medical practitioner. It, however, takes motivation to achieve this, to which Baryomunsi has an appeal for all medical personnel.
They bring somebody who is bleeding or somebody who is about to die, who has lost hope, and then through your skills, you are able to save the life of this kind of person. That's really what motivates you and energizes you as a health worker, not the pay that you earn.
Quite a well-traveled journey that if he had practiced further, Baryomunsi would probably not be in political leadership today. So, why he abandoned the medical profession for politics is one of the questions that we shall answer in our next episode on Sunday. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Focus on Personality, a segment we run every Sunday night news, so always keep in touch. A sequel to that episode will be back next week. Now, the high marginalization and persistent discrimination of women in Uganda is being attributed to ignorance of the laws that protect them, coupled with the cultural narratives and the norms that have shaped the communities where they come from. The Principal Education Officer in the Department of Education and Communication from the Equal Opportunities Commission, Petua Babide Isabide, expresses the need to enforce implementation of existing laws on women protection and educate communities.
In Mubende district, women have suffered discrimination in the economic and social arena. Most of them were employed in gold mining areas, but were evacuated and never compensated, hence denied participation in economic activity.
It happened that they were pushed out, they were evacuated, and they were never compensated. So we believe many of them are out of the economic activity participation. And you know, where there is no money, where there is no earning for a living, women will always be battered.
Women down in the grassroots mainly face discrimination in their homes by their husbands. They claim they were abandoned with children, but police and the law has not helped them. While some have never faced any form of discrimination, to them the public talk on discrimination of women sounds mythical and lost talk.
They left us with the children. They are no longer responsible. But as women, we close up the gap. We are advised to go to courts of law if we are facing discrimination, but still we are not helped. The father, when he sees you are a daughter, he goes away and denies you inheritance. After I got pregnant, his parents refused him from marrying me because he was educated and I was not. He dumped me.
To stop being discriminated, they should try to create their own jobs. Because if you've created your own job, no one's going to discriminate you.
One of the men we interacted with believes discrimination of women has reduced, although government needs to empower a girl child and support them to stay in school. Direct and indirect schooling costs are important factors for the education of children, and some research indicate that schooling costs, especially school fees, are a central reason for early dropout from schools. Schooling costs are often linked to the gender of the children, as parents sometimes become unwilling to pay schooling fees for their daughters.
That where the girls, for example, start off at equal level with the boys, along the way, it's much more common that the girls do not complete primary education, secondary education, or even university education, despite the fact that there are these affirmative actions that have been put in place. When it comes,
Article 21 of the Constitution of Uganda emphasizes equality, by which all persons are equal before the law in all spheres of economic, social and cultural life. Despite these provisions of the Constitution and the existence of other laws that include Equal Opportunities Act 2007, Gender Policy and the Sexual Harassment Bill, women are still highly marginalized. In Uganda, experts are attributing the persistent marginalization and discrimination of women to minimal implementation of the laws.
As you find that these women can even oppress more the fellow women when they are abused or when they have reported cases, and they will always tell them that, you know, these things have always happened. I don't see why you're exposing the man. Can you try to keep quiet? You know, culture says that women are supposed to keep quiet even when they are abused. So it is still a play. There's that conflict between culture and then the law, and the lack of understanding. People do not know what the law says against what. So we need an enhancement in reinforcing the laws.
There is little progress in fighting the discrimination of women because they are majority and the population is increasing day by day, while there are also political and historical factors that keep women there not making headway.
We are progressively making little progress. There are always those factors, historical factors, keep us, whether we are educated, whether we have money or not. There are certain political factors that keep us there, and we seem not to be making headway. Now,
but indeed, it has hardly decreased because the main reasons or the main causes of the discrimination are still standing. So you'll find that even where there are measures put in place to quite combat the discrimination, you find that they are really deeply ingrained in us as a community.
Discrimination remains persistent in some communities because of cultural narratives that create the environment under which the man is going to grow up, and hence look at a girl child and their future spouse in a discriminatory way. But women activists are treating this narrative as a stereotype of mindset that leads to direct exploitation and manipulation of women in society.
To assets, ownership, control, decision-making on the assets in the home. Who has the control? Most times you will find that even where the woman contributes to those assets, the decision making on what we use the assets for, in whose names they are, you will find that majority of the time it goes to the men.
Which kind of deter women from having their property and being able to manage their own property, even if it's hereditary, they have inherited it or they have acquired it. Even in homes when they acquire it, men can force them. Men are single to sell their property. We've seen men trying to manipulate women, and women end up selling their property.
This comes about when women think that the only way they can be in their space as women is leaving this bigger space for the men. it has also impacted on the form of marginalization that comes with them not being part of the decision making. Even when you are married and you are in what? In a marriage relationship, the decisions that are made in the family, in the house where you are married, you may never be consulted.
Women who are few in positions of influence are treated as mere rubber stamp to agree to what the men have decided in corporate organizations and governance. While efforts like affirmative action, though, have lifted women to visibility in public administration and leadership, it has come with challenges.
They'll go and get a job, get even employed. But sustaining a job becomes a challenge. Balancing interests of a working mother and a woman who is a career, want to develop your career, becomes a challenge. And the women are forced to choose between career and marriage. Because when they're at the workplace, either they are not producing the work and the boss is becoming very non-accommodative. And
Civil society recommends that government ring fences some leadership positions for women to ensure decision-making begins to favor everyone and also reduce the cultural norms that put a woman behind.
Ring fencing and saying we have to reserve certain leadership positions. If today the head of state is a male, we would expect a vice president to be a woman. Begin to rationalize leadership and you equitably give it, then the decision maker begins to favor everyone.
Government has put deliberate efforts like ensuring that the Police Family Protection Unit is managed by women to ensure that women are protected. The fact that women are discriminated against because of their gender, Equal Opportunities Commission expresses the need to educate women about the laws, to know their rights and be assertive.
An enhancement in reinforcing the laws and also educating the communities on what exactly should be done to ensure that women are protected.
In addressing discrimination of women, education should be prioritized, since it empowers one to discover themselves in terms of career, and investing in health helps save lives of mothers. I'm Nafka Farida, reporting in Kampala.
Yes, and that takes us for a short commercial break. When we return, we'll be back with business news.
Today tastes like a new tradition, like an old favorite. Tastes like all hands on deck and all eyes on the prize. Today tastes like a piece of the action, and it never tasted this good.
Kapo, you seem to be in a hurry. Where are you going to?
I'm going to pay URA visit.
But you can access URA online. Why pay a visit?
To know more about the Kakasa business solutions, namely digital tracking solution, the voluntary disclosure program, and electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution, which have turned my business around. You know I need to be on top of my game to protect my empire. If you know, you know.
I too need to know what Kapo knows.
Kakasa, be sure you are in charge of your business. Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
Wait.
No one should stop you from finishing what's yours. That's why MTN gives you data bundles that don't expire. Load MTN Freedom Bundles using My MTN app and enjoy the freedom to finish your data bundles.
MTN.
This March, in commemoration of the Uganda Water and Environment Week 2021, we deliberate on the value of water and environment resources in transforming our economy and livelihoods through a 371-kilometer walk. From Kampala through Mpiji, Mityana, Mubende, Chegegwa, Chenjojo, Fort Portal, to the riverbanks of River Nyamwamba in Kasese. We walk for water. We walk for the environment. We walk for climate change. We walk for public health. We walk for socio-economic transformation. The Uganda Water and Environment Week Walk is proudly sponsored by
That's their way of stopping HIV. What about you?
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Welcome back. You're still watching the UBC News Tonight. We're broadcasting live from Nile Avenue on Facebook and YouTube under the name tag UBC TV Uganda. We'll now take you to the world of business. Uganda Business and Technical Education Examinations Board is set to examine Year 2 of the Business and Technical Education finalists deferred November to December 2020 due to COVID-19 outbreak. Now, the Executive Secretary of UBTEB, Onesmus Oyesije, says that the national certificate examination is set for Monday 15th March and will end by 25th March 2021 with a total of 30,069 candidates who are expected to sit for the national exams.
Business and Technical Education exams are starting this Monday, 15th March, and ending on 25th March 2021. The exams were earlier scheduled for November to December 2020, but could not be held because COVID-19 veered its ugly head into the country. The Executive Secretary, UBTEB, Onesmus Oyesije, says all students are now fully registered and prepared for the exams.
A total of 30,069 candidates are expected to sit at 460 examination centers countrywide. The board has deployed a total of 443 recognitors, over 2,000 supervisors, 1,500 practical examiners for these examinations. This series of examinations involve the on-spot assessment for practical subjects, and that's why the 1,500 practical examiners will be deployed.
The exams include Uganda Community Polytechnic Certificate, National Technical Advanced Crafts Program, plus Business and Humanities Certificate courses.
The board has issued a roadmap for the conduct of the remaining examination series as follows. Year 2 National Technical Certificates and Uganda Community Polytechnic Year 3 exams begin on 15th March 2021. For Year 2, 2020 Semester 2, match intake, business and agriculture for selected institutions.
Relatedly, the Year 1 2020 National Technical Certificates and Uganda Community Polytechnics briefing of candidates will be held on 16th July and exams will be held on the 19th July 2021. The board has called upon heads of institutions and examination scouts to exercise vigilance against any malpractices during the national exams and above all to observe COVID-19 prevention guidelines.
The board appeals to heads of centers and candidates to adhere and observe standard operating procedures and guidelines on COVID-19 as issued by Minister of Health and Minister of Education and Sports, respectively. I would like also to emphasize that the students should be aware, and even the heads of institutions, that any form of malpractice is not going to be tolerated, and they should always ensure that they read the updated regulations whereby we are putting really tough measures to ensure that if you are caught cheating exams, major on these ones where we know that our candidates end up serving the public and serving the technical areas which can.
Sudat Kaye, Douglas Setumba, UBC.
Now, Namisindwa District has received the Presidential Initiative on Wealth and Job Creation, popularly known as Emyoga certificates, as a go-ahead for them to access the funds meant to boost their businesses. The handover of the certificates was held at Namisindwa Technical School this week, officiated by Ahamda Washaki, the Manafwa Resident District Commissioner, also the Elgon Region Emyoga Coordinator.
Namisindwa residents who subscribe to different circle groups have a reason to smile after receiving certificates from the Microfinance Support Center to access the Emyoga funds. The Manafa District Resident District Commissioner Ahmed Washaki, also the Elgon Region for Presidential Initiative on Wealth and Job Creation, popularly known as Emyoga, said the circle groups in Namisindwa can now access funds from their association's accounts.
So today we are here in Namisindwa to deliver the certificates of all the circles in Namisindwa which members have been waiting for. As I talk on now, this level where we are now, people in Namisindwa are now able to access funding from their accounts. Already accounts had been opened and the government had already put.
According to Washaki, Elgon received 9.28 billion shillings to be given to different circle groups association in the region. Washaki noted that the money is meant to boost economic standards of the group members in different circles and urged them to know that Emyoga money is a revolving fund. While handing over the certificates to different circle leaders at Namisindwa Technical School, the Bubulo Veterans Circle was not given a certificate, which led circle members to complain.
You see that they have changed the leadership, which we complain. We want them to be a second talk. That's why we complain and have set aside until we solve the what? The right person. Because we read even to the RDC Manafa, who is a coordinator, he advised, I told the RDC that those are people that are not real veterans, they are supposed to be leaders.
Butinyi John, a member of Bubulo Veterans Circle, expressed concern that the leaders they elected to form a veterans circle were changed and replaced by non-veterans. Some of the beneficiaries who spoke to this media house commended the government for the initiative but expressed concern that the 30 million given to circle groups is so meager, hence calling the government to consider an increment if the members are to benefit fully. Vincent Makumba from Namisindwa Producers Circle stressed that their association has more than 40 associations and that 30 million shillings would not be enough.
We appeal to the government of Uganda, at least for start, we can work with that, but just within for 6 months, we can, the government can add some money to boost our business in Namisindwa.
However, Ojede Victor, the zonal manager, Microfinance Support Center, Mbali, said the Emyoga funds is just a seed capital given to persons in groups who have already been saving to boost their businesses. Sudat Kai, Iga Muhammad, UBC News.
The Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited has started installing concrete poles in the northern districts of Gulu, Lira and Kitgum. According to their spokesperson, Jonan Kiza, This will affect power supply throughout the month of March, but it will drastically reduce electricity blackouts in the region. And these are the details.
Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited Communication Officer Jonan Keiza says unreliable electricity supply in Gulu, Lira and Kitgum is about to end.
We have decided to move to Gulu today. The public should be aware that there are ongoing works on the Gulu Lira and the Gulu Kitgum lines. They are refurbishment works. And the grand motive is to improve reliability and power availability in the region. The work started late 2019 and they spanned through the year 2020, but of course we hit a shortfall of COVID and of course works could not get concluded in that particular year. Amidst the progress of the works on the two feeders, Gulu Lira and Gulu Kitgum, we've found resistance because partly we have had to shut down power or request for shutdowns from our colleagues from Umeme to ensure that the contractor proceeds with the refurbishment works.
Keiza says the company is now replacing wooden poles with concrete ones to ensure steady distribution of power.
The other big challenge the distributors continue to face is the issue of line clearance. Of course, most of these lines traverse in areas where there is a lot of vegetation. Of course, vegetation impedes on the flow of electrons, more especially in windy situations. If a branch lands on the conductors, automatically these lines will trip, and of course people will end up not having power. We would like also to take this opportunity to inform the public that power availability and reliability is also twofold. It is both technical and also non-technical.
He says the concrete poles will sort out the issue of poles breaking down due to floods and wildfires.
In neighboring Kenya, President Kenyatta has issued 2 executive orders on the reforms in the coffee and tea subsectors. Executive Order number 2 of 2021 on the coffee subsector reforms follows recommendations of the Presidential Task Force and approves the transmittal of the Coffee Bill 2021 to Parliament. On the other hand, Executive Order number 3 of the 2021 on the revitalization of the tea subsector directs the Attorney General to conduct an inquiry into allegations of the statutory and regulatory breaches committed by the KTDA, among other instructions. In another development, Africa reached the somber milestone of 4 million COVID-19 cases on Saturday, while eagerly awaiting a crucial boost to its life-saving vaccination campaigns through COVAX, a multi-partner global vaccine procurement platform to end the continent's prolonged fight against the pandemic. Latest data from the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and that is the CDC Africa headquarters, show that the total number of confirmed coronavirus cases had reached 4,005,204 as of Saturday on the African continent since the first case was reported there in February 2020. The pandemic has since claimed 107,001 lives on the continent, and the Africa CDC is reporting daily. According to the World Health Organization Regional Director for Africa, Dr. Matshidiso Moeti, the pandemic situation has remained stable in general, recently adding that daily new cases have been going down for 5 consecutive weeks since the peak of the second wave that passed. Now, unfair distribution of COVID-19 vaccines remains the biggest threat to ending the pandemic, which is affecting global economic recovery, say the Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus. Speaking at the press conference at the Geneva-based World Health Organization headquarters, Tedros said that a total of 335 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines have been administered in 144 economies worldwide, but 76% of those were administered only in 10 countries.
because it is, I mean, we're running a field operation here. This is like a...
We've come to the end of our 10 o'clock news bulletin of the News Tonight. My name is Wadulo Mark Arnold, and we're way actually past our time. We must say good night and have yourselves a lovely week.
Before the threads of time began was